Hi. Welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I'm your host, Ness.
It sounds like you're in a car.
What do you mean?
I heard some vrooming on your end. Just like speeding
Oh,
away.
yeah. Yeah, that's
Anyways,
my
I'm Jey.
neighbors. They're very inconsiderate when I record. Yes. I wanted to start off, per usual, talking about the Sharks and the game last night specifically. Uh, One I wasn't able to catch, but I heard very good things happening, and I wanted you kind of to help me, not help me, but kind of go over what happened, the important stuff that I missed. Specifically, I heard that Vanacek started the game, but Blackwood ended it. What happened?
I don't believe we have any information, but I did see of course, wishing whatever Vanacek's dealing with, like get good that they pulled him for whatever reason. But I did see that someone mentioned, this could equal we get Askarov.
Right. Like,
and but as far as I've seen from last night till we've hopped on today as of Sunday, I don't think that they've released the reason why. All I know is that Blackwood took over in the second, and it does not appear to have been anything related to him not playing well in the first or something like that. It was very much something else is going on, and that's why Blackwood had to hop on and take over in net.
mhm. Do you think that it probably benefited the Sharks because it didn't seem like they started off well?
What in terms of like the whole momentum shift of putting a
Yeah.
different goalie? I don't know how much I believe in that in general, but the Sharks have been doing this thing where, like positively, even if they don't start off on the right skate to start the game, they
Right.
still keep their foot on the gas. We're not seeing them just, roll over and then we have a miserable rest of the game. Like they definitely are continuing to try and stay focused in the game, learn from the mistakes on the fly, and continue to push. I was cooking dinner during the third, and I left, and like I was nowhere near my TV and was also on mute. And I think it was they were down by several goals to start that period, and then after I was done, the dinner came back in the room, and I was like, "Oh, we're tied."
Right.
I missed the exciting part.
Right.
Mm.
I was both happy and upset about how they played because, for my fantasy team, I have to Foley, and he hasn't been doing anything for weeks. And I finally decided to bench him. And the dude decides to get 2 goals this game, one on the power play. Like, why do you do this to me? Also, Blackwood apparently standing on his head because he made some crazy amazing saves to keep the Sharks in
Hmm.
the game for them to pull out or to at least come out with a point yesterday. I don't know, man. This team frustrating, but at the same time still exciting to watch.
But I think frustrating in a more positive
Right?
headspace than how we were frustrated last season. Like,
Yes.
going back to, we know where this team is in the development process. So I think that helps to not be so optimistic that we're going to see everything that we've wanted to with the current players that, that we're excited about. But just like even just continue to watch like Celebrini, and I've liked what I saw with the new first power play unit with him and Smith, and then
Mm-hmm.
this game, Smith and Celebrini were also on the same line with Goodrow helping them, and we know like Goody's like a good grinder, and I didn't focus so much on them on 5, but I did find it interesting that we have the ability to kind of move these guys around a little more. And I haven't felt like, oh, like that just looks like a line that just had to be put together because there's no one
Right.
left, right? Like I feel like so far when we see the lines get shaken up, and I was like, oh, that could work. Yeah, let's go with that. I feel kind of like positive about it. And then in particular with the first power play unit, that first goal that we got off the power play, like Celebrini to Smith, and then I'll have to watch it again because I think it like I think Smith did take the shot and then it hit a defender and then it bounced out to Toffoli.
I think it was Celebrini trying to pass it to Toffoli. It hit the defender and bounced off like in front of Smith, and Smith was able to get it to Toffoli.
Okay. Okay. So either way, how that happened, like you could see the process of it, you could see the vision, and things aren't always going to go as planned. But the fact that the players were where they needed to be, they were talking about how Toffoli went to the open side of the net because
Right.
you always got to be thinking a couple of steps ahead, like from what I saw, like I thought he was trying to pass it to Smith in the slot,
Mm-hmm.
but Foley's like, well, if he's anticipating that that's what's going to happen, then Foley needs to get to an area where if he takes the shot and there's a rebound, he's there for the rebound. And it just kind of worked out that Smith took the shot, or went off the defender, he took a shot, and then it found its way to Foley, and it was just like an easy tap in for him.
What a
And
fun
just
play.
yeah,
It's like
and
one of
just
those what
yeah.
you're getting a glimpse of what's to come, right?
And it's just the first season with these two guys, and like Celebrini in particular, just the way that he is able to like there's some times where I'm just like, oh, he's gonna get clogged up there. Oh, this is that and whatever. And he does something and I was like, okay, obviously that's why I don't play out there. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Right.
So, but just his ability to like find a way around, or he had no doubt that he could have gotten through that area, and just the way that he like sees these plays. And we've seen in the past with our in particular with like our college guys, like I was most impressed when Ferraro came in after leaving the NCAA, and I was anticipating, oh, it's nice, like you can see the potential there, but we're probably gonna send him down to the CUDA. And like to this day, knock on wood, Ferraro's never spent a day down in the AHL. And like for me, that was impressive compared to in the past with some of our from college to the NHL. Like there was a little bit of a need for them to like like they're where they need to be in terms of like hockey IQ, but maybe like Bordelot. Like you
Mm-hmm.
could tell he knows what to do. It's just the reaction time to it, like the speed of it. Maybe he just needed that extra time down in the AHL to adjust more to it so that he could be more prepared when he comes up to the NHL. So that's kind of what I was thinking would is usually how our college guys come in. So I wasn't really putting too much expectations on Smith or Celebrini. I mean, I know we drafted them much higher, so and I can't think of a in their situation a player that we've had in the past that I can compare it to. So for me, like it's just exciting to see them adjust,
Right.
and in particular to Celebrini, I'm just continuing to be impressed that he's as advertised.
Right. Like he keeps proving to you why he went first
Yeah.
overall, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting because I forget that he's still only 18 and he's
Mm-hmm.
only played a handful of games like in the NHL. He doesn't miss a beat when he's out there. He doesn't feel out of place like at all. And like yeah, he has some games where he doesn't really produce or do anything out there, but he doesn't stick out in really too bad of like negative ways. I don't know. I'm impressed with him. Will Smith is, I feel, a couple steps behind.
He's
He
getting there.
he's a little slower there, but he like the plays that he does do well. You can see like I don't know. These guys are going to be elite one day, and it's really exciting to watch it develop from the beginning. Um, I don't know. Should we just stay on the topic of Smith and Celebrini?
Let's go with it.
There's this video that they put out. It's a NHL TikTok or whatever. I don't know how much you keep up with TikTok trends, like at all.
Those are
There's
two
this
words
trend.
that I would not use together or separately.
Well, there's this trend going around right now where there's like a couple of people that do this silly little jog thing, and the person recording is narrating suspect does something something, and it's basically like roasting each other back and forth, right? And so Celebrini and Smith did this, and I mean, I get what they were doing. But I'm gonna be a little bit of a hater here. Their chirps are not that great. I wish they would have like really went in because that would have been uh, better than what they did here. This one's a little, it's too soft, and they're not really reacting in a very authentic way. You know, you can tell they're a little uncomfortable doing this.
Yeah, so my experience with coming across this, like I just mentioned, I don't have TikTok. I don't follow the trends, and I've seen another version of this, and in general, I just watched it going, I don't get it, and I texted my group chat that consists of myself and two of my slightly older hockey buddies. And I said, this is amusing to me because I like that they're like, we're getting to see their personality and they seem to be, for the most part, enjoying engaging in this stuff. But outside of that, I don't understand what's going on. And I said, is it because I'm old? Like, do we need to ask your son what this means? Does he need to translate this
Yes.
to the older generation now? And one of my friends said, I'm so confused. And another friend said, I looked it up.
Really showing your
So
age
we
there.
like we literally had to research what this was because none of us, and it was validating because I'm like, oh, I'm so relieved that you also don't get it. And we looked it up, and it's
I
essentially
think.
what you described it
Oh,
as.
go
It's
ahead.
this whole, you got one person doing an action, the other one's recording, and they're essentially roasting them. And I said in reply, back in my day, we just roasted people. Like, none of these theatrics. I just roasted you to your face.
Right. I think what's really funny about this video is that someone decided, let's go into this corner and you're gonna pretend to jog here straight into this door. Like
Yeah,
you
they
couldn't
could
pick
have
a
picked
better
a much
spot.
better location because that was also distracting too. I was like, why? Why are they running out what looks like an emergency exit? Like,
But it's also like makes it more awkward. I don't know. Could have executed this in a better way, but I think it's fun that they're trying to engage
yeah.
with the younger audience, I guess. I guess their age group because they're pretty young too. On the topic of like fun, earlier in the week, the Sharks were practicing at Chelsea Piers. I believe it was the day before the Rangers game, the game against the Rangers, I should say. And I guess in that facility, they have to share locker rooms with the public. They have different sheets of ice, but they have one locker room. And Warsawski, I think, noticed one of the goalies getting dressed in the locker room and was a little confused, like, is he going to step out on the ice with us? And then in turn decided to invite him to join the Sharks practice. If any of you guys didn't see this story, this guy, this goalie that joined them was a 65-year-old who had been playing at this facility for I believe 40 years, and had never once been invited to an NHL practice at all, right? And was not super prepared, but he was like, I'm not going to say no to that opportunity. But it sounded like all the dudes, the guys on the team, as well as the goalie, had a great time, and he got to experience a few like NHL shots. But yeah, it was pretty fun, lighthearted.
Would you be excited? Like, I mean, from this clip, it looks like they obviously weren't like giving it their all, of
Right.
course. But if you had the opportunity to take a shot from an NHL player, would you stand?
Absolutely
No,
not. I would dodge it.
I'm on the fence. I might.
Yeah, because I think I'd be curious experiencing it. Like, I want to see what it looks like, but I don't think I'd be happy if it hit me and bruised me up, you know?
My only thing is, so I ended up upgrading some of my gear when I was getting better because the shots were getting harder and faster. And I realized that my gear needed to align with that skill level. So that would be the only reason why I would hesitate to take a full on shot because I might not be like equipment wouldn't be prepared to take it. But I would be if I was in a scenario where I could be given equipment that would help to lessen the impact of it, then I would want to see.
Sure.
I would want to see a shot like firsthand.
Yeah.
But in general, like what a cool experience for this guy. Like
Right.
just to share the same ice and take a couple of shots, even if they're like at less than 50% capacity. It just like how cool is that he
Yeah.
got
His
that
mask was pretty
experience.
cool too. Got the Iron Man thing going. Okay. This week coming up, I believe, is it Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay, this coming Saturday, the Sharks are getting ready to retire another number. Mr. Joe Thornton is finally officially he announced officially his retirement, I believe last season. But the Sharks will be retiring his number this coming weekend, and everyone's excited. Well deserved. This dude, future Hockey Hall of Famer. The impact he had on the team while he played here for I don't remember how many seasons. um, what's his face? Jason, how do you say his last name? Demers interviewed him. There's a whole hour interview up on the Sharks YouTube if anyone is interested in learning more about this guy. Did you get a chance to listen to it, watch it? The whole thing or just bits? The whole thing? All right. Let me know. Give me a nice little
Um,
summary.
this guy just lived the life and he is so grateful for it. Like it's just an so there's an hour long of just Joe talking with Jason Demers, and then there's I don't recall how long it is, but then there's one where he's sitting down with his wife, and then there's a brief clip with his two kids. So you
Mm-hmm.
kind of get like the whole, from his perspective, and then, like he in this video he also talks a lot about how pretty much his wife was kind of just he's so grateful that she just kind of like held the fort down. And I think
Mm.
that can kind of be said about many of the spouses of hockey players, because they're essentially like on the road for, throughout the course of the season. And if they don't have, like, obviously they need someone, if their kids need to be taken care of, who's going to take care of it? The spouse. And they've got to just kind of keep everything going while they're away doing their thing. And just, I think it just really speaks to his character that he just could not stop talking about how grateful and how, just every, like, he knows that his experience is unique in the sense that he's just, from the very young age, like, he's just got to live his dream. Like, his parents were there to support him. And then, the lockout back in, was it like, oh, 04, I can't remember now. He went over to play in Switzerland, and that's where he met his wife. And then from there, it's just kind of like, now he gets to be a husband and then have two, like, very bright young kids. And then he gets to have this whole journey of, I think they said he spent like 24 seasons in the league, which is impressive in itself, because we see all these players that, I mean, not to say if you don't play in the NHL, like, oh, you're not really like you're not as lucky. It's like, I think in general, if you get to get paid to play a sport at any
Right.
level, like, to a certain degree, yeah, you are very lucky.
Mm.
um but the fact that the NHL is the top league in the entire world, and he got to spend that many years being employed and playing like literally just about every game, minus if he's gone down with something, whatever. There's not a whole lot of people who get to that level who can say that. So it's just, if you haven't seen it already, I would sit down and watch it, especially if you've, been a fan of this team, especially Jumbo. Like, it's really great that he's still a part of this organization, director of Vives. And he's got this like he knows that he's very privileged to have done what he's done. And I'm sure on Saturday, it's just, he will, once he goes up there, I'm sure he's going to try and not talk so much about himself and just continue to gush about all the people that have been there and allowed him to just be a kid. Like, he's just
Mm.
gotten to be a kid throughout this whole process. He also talked a lot about um, like, when he came over and he got to have that amazing run where he got those two awards. And then it was also I think it was also the same season that Jonathan Chichu got the Rocket Richard. And he
Mm.
talks about how, even though, I'm sure if we talk to Jonathan Chichu is going to talk about how blessed he was to get to play with Jumbo, because he got to get that Rocky Richard that season. But then Jumbo will say, no, I really, like, I was thankful to have Chichu. He was the one. He talks about how uh he's he's not very much of a goal scorer. And
Mm.
so he's talking about how, like, he needed Chichu there because Chichu's the one who's always going to be shooting, always going to be looking to score, blah blah blah. And Jumbo's more of a playmaker. So he feels like if he didn't have Jonathan Chichu there, we wouldn't be talking about, that season where he got those two awards and everything like that. Like, he feels like he needed Chichu more than if Chichu's saying, "Oh, I needed Jumbo." But, like, we could say like they both have an argument to make there,
Sure.
but then he also continues on and talks about even that season where, like, Devin Gucci was scoring a lot of goals, and then, like, Jumbo was really there to help make those plays happen. And yeah, that whole hour is just really wonderful to kind of to see what an amazing journey he's had, and just see him talk about how thankful he is. And then the video with his wife, just kind of seeing it from her perspective. I think the most interesting thing that I got from that one was when she talked about uh, moving out to Boston,
Mm.
and then that was the season he got the call that he was traded to San Jose, and he goes and mentions it to her, and she was just like, "Wait, they can do that?" So she was very much like, I mean, Switzerland, they're a hockey country, but even if you're like going to games, like you're still not going to understand the magnitude of like actually being in it and everything like that. And just for her to kind of, not only is he adjusting to being in the US and then being in this new, like in Boston and everything, it's like now she's got to pick up everything, and got to go meet him out in the West Coast, and just her resilience to like adapt to that. And like talks of, like you kind of need someone who's gonna be able to kind of roll with all of that.
Yeah.
And she just seems like such a strong um companion in the journey. And then, obviously with like his kids, just how excited they are for him. And I just think like what a wonderful family. Like how fortunate are we that we get to have this like cool uh continuity within our organization. And it makes me feel really great about the future for to continue on that positivity.
Yeah. The way you talk about them is it sounds like you wish they would adopt you.
Hey, they seem like a cool family.
Yeah. It's really nice to have someone like Joe who doesn't take his experience for granted. Uh, Sticking around the organization to mentor our young guys that are coming up on the Sharks. It's it's good stuff because he's going to be a really good influence on them. Okay. We got to do our little ad read here. So next few minutes, I will be talking about Raycon again because this month they are doing their Black Friday Cyber Monday deals. Um, you can get this amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year, but that doesn't mean that um, that Raycon isn't having any sales for Black Friday Cyber Monday, which is coming up. But these deals are available today if you're looking to get some new earbuds. They're doubling down on their amazing value by offering our viewers up to 30% site wide. I always trip up on that word. They are doing this deal, I think, specifically for their everyday earbuds. If you haven't checked out their latest models, which includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must-have for any audio lover. For example, they now feature a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair two devices at once. Raycon's everyday earbuds also come with active noise cancellation. It's a feature that's a must-have for long flights, for commute, for if you're having a bad day and don't want to listen to your coworkers, whatever it is, just trying to drown out noise. It can be, oh my gosh, but one that can be difficult to find at an accessible price point until now. Because that's another thing, although Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio, Raycon start at just half the price as the other guys. So they're already an incredible deal, even before you factor in their Black Friday Cyber Monday offer of up to 30% off site-wide. Raycon's everyday earbuds are also available in a variety of vibrant colors, so you don't have to just have the standard issue white or black earbuds sticking out of your ears. We've mentioned, they have the lavender ones that I like. They're the forest green ones are really cute. There's the watermelon ones. I believe they've added a couple of new colors since the last time we talked about them. They have a really nice bright orange if you're trying to like pop out. And Now's the perfect time to scoop them up if you haven't already. And don't worry if you're not as impressed as I am. Raycons offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you really can't lose. It's time to save big for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPM today. Oh no, THPN today to get up to 30% off site wide. That's right, you'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN. Whew, what a mouthful. Okay, so want to switch gears a little bit, still on the Sharks, but some funny little mishaps that happened this week.
Is it a mishap?
I don't know. Did we see any of this happening in game?
I mean, maybe they don't want to do too much, PDA.
Right. The hockey hugs are
They're
enough.
a little shy about that.
So, what game was this? The 16th. That was yesterday. Okay, so last night, as they're doing the pregame shenanigans, talking about the keys to the game, they put up the graphic of 2 points of what the Sharks need to do to win this game or focus on in this game. One being pucks behind for the entire game. I'm assuming behind the net, usual.
I've been trying to figure it out myself, but sure, we'll go with that.
We'll assume like a dump and chase sort of situation here. Point number 2, I think, is most important and is what we're referring to is it said kiss. And I'm not entirely sure what who was making this graphic, why. I have many questions, but I'm here for it. Like hockey, we've always said hockey is a really gay sport. I don't know what to say about this. This is just too silly. Yeah, I don't know. That's it. I just wanted to point that out.
I don't know if that's supposed to be an acronym for something. I saw some folks kind of putting suggestions out there of what that could be broken. We don't know. We need them to tell us what does this mean so we can better understand the Sharks' game plan.
Right.
But I think whatever that could mean, I hope they were doing that in the third, because that's when they kind of came back in the game, pushed it out into shootout. I wish I had seen those 2 goals that got us back into the game. Maybe that's kind of where they implemented this key of the game there. Who knows? But in general, I've been fine with how they've been executing the road trip so far.
Right.
The way that they looked in this game. Okay, the Pens are not exactly doing great right now, but the Sharks did look like they couldn't really figure it out for a bit. But the fact that they pushed it to get that extra point, like if they somehow could steal the win that night, that would have been like, oh, well, I wasn't expecting that at all. So I'm happy about that. But in general, they pushed it and got a point. So how can you be upset about that?
Right.
Especially against a team that is going through their own struggles right now. I'm sure those fans were like, if you lose to the San Jose Sharks, that's a win for us. Anytime where fan bases are like, can you just not lose to the San Jose Sharks?
We'll
it's
take
like
the
if
point.
we're losing, I'm like, I don't really care.
Right.
Like I can take a couple of things here and there, that I'm excited about. Like we talked already about how Smith's coming along and Celebrini's just doing ridiculously impressive shit. So even if we didn't come back in the game, I would still say that today. But the fact that we were able to push it to extra time and we were in there for a bit. I think it went to round 6 or round 5 or 6. Unfortunately they couldn't get it done. They put Crosby and Malkin out there. Like, and Drew said it best on the broadcast that it's Sidney Crosby. Like, yeah, yeah, he's gonna score. Oh,
Right.
it's Evgeny Malkin. Like, what are you you're gonna fault Blackwood for not stopping these two elite players? Like, you can't. And
Right.
we put Granlund out there, we put Celebrini, we put Wenberg. Like, yeah, we had a
I
chance, and then we didn't.
the fact that they had a chance is what we're focused on, right?
Yeah.
It's been nice to see the past few games the Sharks, yeah, even though they don't start out well, they don't quit and have been able to have the opportunity to have that comeback. And they fall just short, but it's nice to see them having that fight to begin with. I was looking at some of the comments on here, and the whole KISS thing might have been an acronym for something. It could be for like keep it simple, but I don't know what the extra S for. Keep it super simple, maybe. But it's just a silly way to just throw that on there for funsies. What to expect? Another thing that happened on the tweeters yesterday, the Penguins tweeted an update before the game that Coach Sullivan confirms that Chris Letang will not play tonight for illness reasons, and the remainder of the roster is a game time decision. No, this was very confusing because how can an entire team, the entire roster, be game time decision when, like, what if everyone was injured? What has that ever happened? Or not injured, but like if like the whole team was sick, do they still go out there and play, or do they have to like postpone the game? Like, what if they're all
I don't
puking their brains out? You know?
I don't think there would be a postponing of a game, but I don't. I think there was like a while back where a large sum of players were dealing with something,
Was it the
but
mumps? Was it the year that the mumps
yeah,
were going around?
yeah,
Oof,
yeah.
oof.
But so I want to ask how you read that tweet.
To me, it feels like they don't know who's gonna play in the game. Like,
But like, where like your translation to the second part of that? Like, what did you see that as meaning?
I don't understand. It's like the remainder of the roster is a game time decision. Like, okay, so for me, it feels like they're saying they don't know if whoever the rest of the roster is playing. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. But now that I'm looking at it, is it saying that they don't know who's in the lineup specifically and what place?
So that is an interpretation I saw later, but
Uh-huh.
how I interpret it is like the Pens are like so bad that they don't know who they want to put out there. Because they're pretty bad this
Sure.
season. And that's kind of how I interpret it. But I did see other folks saying that with Letang being out, it it could be interpreted as they don't know what the lineup is going to look like. But wouldn't you say, the lineup's like TBD or something? Just the way that they put the remainder of the roster as a game time. Like, usually you put, like, if Letang was under the weather and you weren't sure if he'd be, like, healthy enough to play,
Right.
then
He's a game
he
time
is a
decision.
game time decision.
That's what they've been
But the,
saying about Wallman, right? That's why my
yeah.
brain is like, the whole roster is a game time decision? What does that mean? No one's playing.
But like if you look at who, and again, I mean, well, maybe not again. I don't think I mentioned this yet. I don't really follow the Pens. I mean, honestly, givens like Eric Carlson, Evgeny Malkin,
Mm.
Crosby, like the names you would just know. I took a look at their roster for this game and I was like, half these guys I don't even know who they are. But I mean, that doesn't mean to say that like, oh wow, like bunch of randoms on your team now. Like it just means I'm uninformed about the team, but it did make me feel like I'm interested in the vibe right now, the state of the Penguins, because we've kind of mentioned here and there about how it's like this team needed to do their rebuild like yesterday. Like when they picked up Eric Carlson for us, and like I have nothing bad to feel in regards to Eric Carlson leaving. Like, yeah, I can see why you want to leave because we're going through a rebuild. Of course, you need to prioritize yourself. You're not getting any younger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would say going to the
The
Pens was a
Penguins.
good idea, but
Didn't we talk about that? Didn't we talk
yeah.
about that when it
So
happened?
yeah, so because of what I'm talking about right now, it just didn't look like they were the team that was gonna have their final hurrah. Like, if anything, like, good luck to you if that's your objective. But just from the outside looking in, it just seems like you might not have it anymore. And I don't think adding Eric Carlson to your lineup is the last missing piece to get over the hump. And now they're going through this, whatever they're going through. And so going back to, I was looking at their lineup and it just made me even more curious about do you, like, is it really even that much worse than I already feel? Just because I don't know half of the guys that are on your roster. And it could just very well be these are their upcoming guys and I just don't pay attention to them. But it was just very like, oh, what does this game time decision mean? Is it because you just got nobody on your that can play at this level right now that you're just like, whatever, we'll make up a lineup and they'll be out there.
Right. Imagine one guy being out of your lineup and all of a sudden the whole thing is moot. We've
I
been
mean,
there.
even with like Kristen Jari going down to do some development whatever in the AHL, and then he got called up this past weekend.
Right.
Like, I mean, I know they're kind of in a situation where, I mean, Jari was the guy who took over when Marc-Andre Fleury got, was picked up by Vegas in the expansion draft. So he was kind of seen as like the next star goaltender. And well, I don't know what they're trying to do there, but just seems like a lot of stuff is happening in the organization and none of it looks very good.
Right. Who do
And
you blame there? The new GM or what?
well, I guess you would, and good luck to them or something.
um yeah, I don't know. What more do you say about the Penguins at this point? Just get your shit together, including your tweets. uh all right. In not so great news, I wanted to kind of go over this Ryan Reaves hit that I'm sure the whole hockey world saw last night because it was hockey night in Canada or whatever. But Reaves really sorry, I'm watching it now. The Oilers were playing the Leafs last night. Reaves comes in and fucking hits Nurse into the next dimension. It's crazy. He was really disoriented. There was blood. His shoulder went right into his head, like right into his jaw. It's awful. I don't know. What more can we say about hits in this league and whether or not he's going to get punished or fined or honestly he should get suspended, but we don't know if that's going to. There's so much blood. Sorry, I was watching it.
I didn't actually see the blood, but I only watched it one time.
It's
So,
all over his visor.
oh, yeah, that's disturbing. So I did see a tweet later that, well, maybe this morning, but it's time now. that supposedly Reaves attempted to go to the locker room at some point. The Oilers locker room at some point to issue an apology.
Mm,
Look, I don't think as a person, I don't think Ryan Reaves is a bad guy.
sure.
You know, I put that in the same pool of like uh Wilson and Truba, like outside of the sport. I mean, we could see like Truba does a lot of, he's got his outlet for art. Looks like, he does try to give back to the community. I don't follow Wilson quite as well, but I've seen a couple of things here and there that makes it seem like, outside of the sport, you do seem like you're a halfway decent guy that tries to give back and whatever. So with that said, it's really frustrating to see guys who are in that sort of role like Ryan Reaves just come in and just do something like this, and then you're just like that. Like stuff like this also is kind of how I feel these days about when fights happen on the ice. And like if it's a very tense game and there's a lot of like heavy hitting going on and you can just see the tension ramping up, like if it breaks out into a full-blown yard sale and people are just like wrestling each other, like I find that amusing.
Sure.
But I'm over the whole he's sending a message, he's trying to get his
Yeah.
team pumped, where they just drop the gloves and then they're just like blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh god, this is so boring. This isn't like, yeah, I instantly tune out. But so, and I'm coming from a perspective where the fighting aspect of it got me intrigued when I first started watching the sport. When I was like, what is this? They're on the ice and they're like punching each other's faces. This is cool. What is this? But over time, for a number of reasons, I'm like, this is just whatever. Just can you go out there and just like play the fucking game?
Sure.
Like, I don't see how this. Ooh, I'm trying to inject some energy.
Yeah,
Like the
into your
guys are just like
teammates.
standing around waiting for the fight to be over. Like, I don't see them getting like pumped up
Pumped.
from it,
Right.
So anyway, so that, and then just the like I love a good like hit, like open ice hit, right? As long as it's, it it's not reckless like that,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. I feel
And
like
because it takes away the enjoyment of the sport when you've got to see Nurse get what happened.
his head get knocked off. Yeah, I feel like these hits specifically can be avoided even if like I hate the excuse that a lot of broadcasters give of like, oh, that was unavoidable. He was coming in, he had his head down. Like, what is he supposed to do? He's coming in really fast or whatever. It's like, well, you could try dodging it if you know that you're gonna hit his head, Like
But Reeves came in from like he had more than enough time to reconsider how he's coming in for this hit.
sure.
And
And he
that's the
didn't.
part that I think is the most frustrating. Like if going back to what I said, if it's like a rivalry type game and you're like, you can feel it going back and forth, like you can feel the tension just like ramping up, like these two teams really don't like each other and the game is really tight. Like it makes sense to me that with all the energy in on the ice, like it would get to a level where they're like shoving each other more and everything like that, right? But in this case, Reese just comes flying in from wherever he was, like more than enough time to reconsider how he's approaching this hit, and Nurse is coming around from behind the net, and he's focused on, getting possession, keeping possession of the puck, and then what he's going to do next with it. And Reaves just kind of like comes out of nowhere and just,
Right.
it's not like Reaves was coming around and following him along the boards, and then he shoved into him and then
Right.
accidentally,
And
hit him in the head.
it's not like he was going for the puck either. Like he was
Exactly.
set
He
on
was
hitting
coming
Nurse.
in for the whole spectacle of, I'm going to hit this guy into the next universe. Ah, shit, I accidentally, aligned that wrong and I hit you directly in the head.
Yeah. Like what?
I mean, I hope Nurse is okay, because it didn't
Right.
look like this guy's going to be okay. I mean, I don't recall. I want to say he got off the ice on his own, um under his own strength. Like, he
I
at
did.
least got off the ice. So he wasn't
Right.
just like laying there and they had to stretcher him off, thankfully.
Right.
But
Right.
I believe Reeves was ejected after that, or was given a major at
I
least.
wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it gets 5 and a match penalty. So yeah, probably ejected. Ah, just is it's brutal. Ugh. Anyways, frustrating. Okay, what did you want to talk to us about the Minnesota Wild and their stars and their fish flinging?
So I saw this make it on my feed, and I don't know anything else beyond the players tossing like a stuffed fish over the boards at the end of the game to like players and whatever. But I did see there was a sizable amount of Kraken fans who were not very pleased with this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw, and this is just a snapshot, I wasn't going out of my way to find reactions. They were just there in that moment when I saw this. And then I would see some Wild fans, like, obviously, defending it and things like that. But I wanted to ask you, as a Kraken adjacent fan, like, how do you feel about this?
I'm not even sure if I've processed it, but it does. It's they're copying them. Like I saw someone compare. Okay, so I did see Bowie respond to it and say, "Identity theft is not a joke, Jim," which is being silly about it. I get it. And then someone I think responded to their tweet saying like the Kraken weren't the first NHL team to toss fish onto the ice or something something. And I was like, I get it, but also they're doing it in a different way, right? Where the Preds throw the catfish onto the ice and they're real catfish, whereas the Kraken did the plush fish to throw during the 3 stars of the game to into the crowd instead of doing the pucks or whatever. It was like a cute little original thing they do because they're known for fishing, whatever. And so yeah, it does feel like the Wild are copying them that in that where instead of what do the Kraken use, salmon, they're using another fish here, probably whatever they're known for. It's kind of lame. Like why you can't come up with your own thing? Such a mid team. No, I'm just kidding.
So I kind of took it from the perspective of when Vegas first came into the league
Ugh, and their
and their
helmet.
helmet, and we
Ugh.
were all huffy puffy about it. And I did see that. I mean, even though the shark head is very iconic, like, I I should have looked this up before we hopped on, but I'll just say that I recall people kind of saying like even that isn't all that original, like the concept of
Sure.
skating out of something. So in terms of originality, like I get it that it's like we do that thing and ours is better or whatever. But I kind of also feel like I want to like not engage so much with having an opinion about it because I don't care that much about either
Right.
team.
Right. Right.
But I understand why people are upset. And now the closest thing I could relate to is when Vegas came into the league and they have the helmet that they skate out of, which, if we're going to compare the two, obviously the shark head is much better. But
So much
like,
better.
yeah. But I mean, I did see mentioning about like Minnesota's culture with like fishing. Apparently that like so I don't know. Like
Just start beef to
it
start beef, you know?
yeah, I just, if the fans are having fun, then I guess that's kind of where I kind of leave things off, but I do see how Kraken fans can see that and be like, "Wow, like so original of you to do that."
because because like what is the Minnesota Wild known for like interacting with their fans or whatever? Absolutely nothing. There's just a pretty boring team. Like you forget they exist a lot of the times. Now they're gonna try something new to engage with their fans to make it fun, and it's not even original. It's like what if the entire NHL decided to do this fish throwing thing? I would love that because you know what? You know what we would get? We'd throw sharks. That'd be fun. Yeah, I don't know. This is silly. Fans just like to hate to hate. But I get it. You know, it's not
Yeah.
original. I'd be annoyed too. All right, last thing. um, earlier in the week, the NHL posted a video of Radko Gudas and Ryan Strome from the Anaheim Ducks impersonating employees at the NHL store in New York City. I did watch this before we hopped on, and I don't know, these guys are silly. Basically, they had the objective of trying to sell as much Ducks merch as possible without getting recognized as players. Um, this guy's being glasses and a and a dad hat, and then what was Gudas wearing? I don't remember. I think he was just himself with his beard and glasses in a polo, like very average looking dudes outside of their uniforms, you know. And I think by the end they were recognized, but it was like a kid. A kid recognized them, not even like the adults. But this was fun.
Here on this podcast we don't enjoy speaking very kindly about our SoCal
Friends.
friends down there, frenemies. But this was very enjoyable to see, and I think they chose two guys that were kind of like perfect for it. They really looked like they were trying to not just like go through the motions, like they were trying to make for good content. Ryan Strom in particular, he was engaging with some fans who were shopping for Kraken stuff, and I think at one point he threw some Kraken merch across the store. He was trying to get them to like consider getting duck stuff, and he's just like, get this Kraken stuff away from us. And Radko Gudas at towards the end of the video, he was posing where like the mannequins would go near the window, and I thought that was really hilarious to do. The thing that killed me was when Strome was taking a break or something and eating, and then Gudas was like, "Well, no, come on, you got to get back to work." And he's like, "All right," and then he wipes his mouth with the King's jersey.
Equally, our hate for the Kings is like equal. I don't I don't know what it is. Why Like which rivalry is bigger between the Ducks and the Kings and the Sharks and the Kings? Why do we hate them so much? Like obviously there's that hate between the Ducks and Sharks, but it's not
I
as big
have
as
my hate for those teams are for different reasons.
hmm,
Like the Kings is very much a classic of beat LA.
sure.
And then when like Dustin Brown was on their team, he's just
Mm.
like, Dustin Brown. Um, and but with the Ducks, I just that they're just like some
Corey Perry.
yeah, Corey Perry. And at one point they had Bobby Ryan. So it was not only like you have this pest, but then you also have this really talented, good player, and we can't have that. Um, yeah, like that one feels more organic, and I feel like the Kings Sharks rivalry is just more of like a classic vibe of like LA, like of
Right.
course by default dislike.
Yeah. But I always like these videos of again the players showing off a bit of their personality and the goofballs that they can be instead of the boring interviews of getting the pucks in deep and all that nonsense. Like we don't want to hear that. Okay, that's all we got for this week. I don't know if you have any last minute things to say. Share.
I don't think I do.
No good vibes to put out into the world.
I'm sure we'll have lots of stuff to talk about next week when Jumbo's jersey gets retired and all the people. I'm interested to see who comes out. Like I
Yeah,
have a couple of like obvious ones
paths.
in mind. Like yeah, like Marlowe's gonna be coming out, and there's like a lot of guys who are already like back with the organization that I'm sure are gonna be there. But I'm interested to see maybe some folks from like Jumbo's time outside of what we know from him with the
Mm,
Sharks. Like I think that'll be cool to see. Um and just yeah, just the whole experience of it. I think will be
yeah.
really exciting.
I'm hoping that they're gonna stream the Legends game that they're having because I'm pretty sure that Pabs is gonna make an appearance and I miss that guy.
Mm.
Well, we'll see. We'll we'll update on that next week. Okay, that's all we have for this week. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host Ness.
And I'm Jay.
See y'all next weekend. Bye.
Bye.